Everybody wants great education, productivity gains, discovery of new science, all of this stuff that's going to happen, and no one wants to destroy the world. No one wants to do things not even that bad, but still bad. I think it would be a mistake to go regulate the current models of today.
Our mission is to build and deploy safe AGI and maximally spread the benefit.
I think if this technology goes wrong, it can go quite wrong.
But imagine that all of the scientific progress since the beginning of the Enlightenment until now, we had in a 1-year period.
Absolutely delusional level of self-confidence, but basically I thought it would go exactly like this.
OpenAI, I mean, you seem somewhat frustrated with them. You were one of the big contributors early on.
I am the reason OpenAI exists.
I think it's very important that the future of humanity is determined by humanity, and that is like an active choice we can make.
I think history belongs to the doers.
1985, St. Louis, Missouri. Samuel Harris Altman arrives into the world. Being the youngest of 3 siblings, Sam's high-achieving story begins. Going to a prestigious private school, he quickly made a name for himself by being a talented debater. At 8 years old, Sam got his first computer, a Macintosh SE, which was a life-changing event that would spark an insatiable thirst for knowledge and discovery. He started by building websites and apps for local businesses and non-profit organizations, using his skills to help them reach new audiences and grow their impact.
Could you talk a little bit about how to pick what's important to work on?
I think you want to look for the intersection of what you're good at, what you enjoy, and where you can create value for the world.
Because of his work ethic, intelligence and determination, he got himself into Stanford University, one of the best colleges for ambitious sharks like Sam. In '02, he wasn't the only prodigy at Stanford. 2 other future billionaires were there at that time. Even Spiegel, the founder of Snapchat, and Kevin Systrom, the founder of Instagram. During one summer, Sam Altman almost became an intern at Goldman Sachs, but he later changed his mind because he found investment banking super boring. At this point, he was already 2 years deep into his computer science degree. Despite being a great student, Sam knew that he was wasting his time. And so at the young age of 19, he decided to drop out, together with 2 friends of his. See, those early days tinkering around with computers would soon pay off. He started developing a mobile app called Loopt, which in a few years' time would change his life.
I'm Sam Altman, I'm the co-founder and CEO of Loopt.
This was the early era of Facebook and Twitter. Everyone was curious about what each other was up to and what was on their mind, but no one was able to share their location just yet. Loopt was based on this exact idea. It told your friends where you were. Although somewhat frowned upon for security reasons today, back then in the early 2000s it was a cool and novel idea. Loopt was one of the first mobile apps that allowed users to share their location selectively with other people. To give you some context, Google Maps was launched in 2005, but its location sharing feature was added in 2017. Twitter and Facebook implemented the feature in 2009 and 10.
We started with this vision of connecting people to the world around them, and the first thing we went after was social, connecting people to the people around them. And a big change over the last year maybe has been an expansion of that to connecting people to the places around them as well.
Okay.
Helping people find places that are hot right now, or their friends like, or special information, or a deal. It's really an important part of the geosocial experience.
Summarizing, Loopt was one of the first location-based social media apps. Loopt quickly found its way into the hearts and smartphones of college students, garnering millions of dollars in funding and reaching an evaluation at its height of $175 million. One of their earliest investors was the startup venture fund called Y Combinator. Sam participated in the Startup Accelerator's first ever class, a sort of experimental summer camp for tech-savvy entrepreneurs. It didn't take a long time for Altman to charm Y Combinator's co-founder Paul Graham, who initially advised him to wait a year before joining. But Sam, more determined than ever, insisted on diving right in. Despite Loopt's early success, it struggled to maintain momentum. Later in an interview, Sam would say to The New Yorker, "We had an optimistic view that location would be all important. The pessimistic view was that people would lie on their couches and just consume content, and that is what happened."
Thought for a long time that you get burned out from working too hard. And at least in my own experience, what I found is that burnout actually comes from failing and things not working. Momentum is really energizing. The lack of momentum is super draining. And I find that I have infinite energy to work on things that I find interesting and that are working, and almost none to work on things that I either don't find interesting or aren't working. And so I think you see a lot of founders try something and fail and assume that they just can't work hard enough or don't have enough energy or passion or whatever. And that's actually not true. It's just that thing didn't work. And what you should do is shut that company down, go on vacation, and try again.
Loopt was eventually acquired by Green Dot Corporation in 2012 for $43.4 million. This was one of the biggest acquisitions of a social networking app at the time, leaving Sam with $5 million in his pocket. Not bad for a college dropout. Launching this company proved to be a pivotal moment in Sam's life. It marked the first real venture into the world of startups. After traveling for quite some time, Sam returned to Silicon Valley, hungry for more. He began by putting his money behind winners like Airbnb, Stripe and Reddit. He even founded his own venture fund, Hydronize Capital, raising $21 million. However, he hated the VC life because it didn't give him the same kind of adrenaline kick as running his own company. That's when Paul Graham, the founder of Y Combinator, gave him an offer he couldn't refuse. He told Sam that he could join Y Combinator as a partner. Not only would this allow him to learn firsthand from Paul Graham, but Sam could also do what he loved most: build new startups. This is where his work ethic really started to shine. He was so good at recognizing promising startups that just after 3 years of being a partner, Paul Graham decided to make him president of Y Combinator. Sam became known for his ability to spot hidden gems and fix their flaws. Interestingly, Altman invested in and briefly served as the CEO of Reddit. He helped the company raise $50 million in 2014 when it was in shambles. Under his leadership, the accelerator became a launching pad for widely successful companies like Dropbox, Instacart and DoorDash. Mark Andreessen, the co-founder of venture capital firm Andreessen Horowitz, noted that under Sam's guidance the level of YC's ambition had gone up 10x. The craziest part about this is that these are the words of a competitor, because Andreessen Horowitz has his own VC firm. This just goes to show how respected Sam is in the industry. While other investors would only talk to businesses in the startup world, YC would do the exact opposite. As long as you had a business idea, you could get an interview. This open doors approach resulted in 40,000 applications a year, which is a sickening amount of interviews, but the strategy worked. Because under Altman's leadership, the portfolio grew to a combined valuation of over $100 billion. In 2015, Sam Altman donated $10 million to establish a non-for-profit research lab called Y Combinator Research, and he built a $700 million gross stage equity fund for YC company. Sam Altman was looking for the next big thing. He knew his potential was greater than simply being a startup investor. He was still hungry for more, and in February of 2014, he found what he was looking for. He spotted the next big wave, and that was artificial intelligence. In 2015, a veritable who's who of Silicon Valley, including Sam Altman, Elon Musk, Reid Hoffman, Jessica Livingston and Peter Thiel, banded together to form OpenAI. They pledged a whopping $1 billion to the project, which aimed to freely collaborate with other institutions and researchers by sharing its patents and research with the public. However, they quickly ran into an issue. See, back then the industry was very different. There weren't these hundreds of businesses around that we have today. 57% of all talent was at Google. Essentially, Google had a monopoly on the best AI engineers. But that wasn't gonna stop Sam and Elon from launching their own company. They were able to hire 9 out of 10 top AI engineers to kickstart OpenAI.
I think really talented people that are focused together in not only one vision, but one plan to get there that is the rarest commodity in the world. And the best people are Steve Jobs used to say this, I think, more eloquently than anyone else, but the best people are so much better than the pretty good people, that if you can get a lot of them together in a super talent dense environment, you can sort of surprise yourself on the upside.
Everything seemed hunky-dory, with Musk taking on various roles including chairman, CEO, part-time CDO and even a spot on the board of advisors. Surely nothing could go wrong, right? Enter 2018, when Musk got a serious case of FOMO, thinking that OpenAI was lagging behind. He reportedly offered to take direct control of the company to run it by himself. Sam Altman and another original co-founder, Greg Brockman, gave Elon the answer, thanks but no thanks. Musk didn't take it well, resigning from OpenAI's board. This was a true low point for OpenAI. Not only were they running out of money, but they lost one of their most important founders. Sam Altman did all he could to attract new capital and talent, but every single investor turned him down. OpenAI simply needed too much money for a non-profit organization.
You will get told no a lot, but sometimes it will work. And I think you see a lot of entrepreneurs shoot themselves in the foot because they don't ask that person to quit their job and come join them. They don't ask this big company to do a deal with them. And they're just not aggressive enough. And I think you being willing to ask for what you want and be somewhat aggressive are really important characteristics of being an entrepreneur. People don't want to fail. They don't want to be told no. They don't want to end up in some crisis.
This left Sam with only one option: pack his bag, hop on a flight to Seattle and meet with Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft. The result of that meeting?
We are very excited to announce a strategic partnership with OpenAI.
In 2019, Sam decided to step down from the position of being a president at Y Combinator to be fully focused on OpenAI.
I mean, I have like lots of selfish reasons for doing this, and as you said, I get like all of the power of running OpenAI, but I can't think of like anything more fulfilling to work on. I don't think it's like particularly altruistic, because it would be if I like didn't already have a bunch of money. Yeah, the money is going to like pile up faster than I can spend it anyway. I like being non-conflicted on OpenAI because I think the chance that we have to make a very strange decision someday is non-trivial.
Later in 2019, OpenAI transformed into a capped for profit model, capping profits at a mere 100 times any investment. The idea behind this model was that the non-profit needed significant capital to move forward, and by allowing OpenAI LP to legally attract venture capital and grant employees stake in the company, they could achieve this, and if widely successful, the company could revert back to a non-profit down the road.
OpenAI was created as an open source, which is why I named it OpenAI, non-profit company to serve as a counterweight to Google. But now it has become a closed-sourced, maximum profit company effectively controlled by Microsoft. Not what I intended at all. I'm still confused as to how a non-profit to which I donated approximately $100 million somehow became a $30 billion market cap for profit. If this is legal, why doesn't everyone do it?
Why Elon was so upset? In part, it must have had to do with the overall success of ChatGPT.
When the interest rates go to zero, the capitalists have run out of ideas, which is sort of interesting in a world where we've been in zero rates for so long. But like, maybe we get a lot more ideas really quickly once we have AGI, and maybe something crazy happens with them.
With the release of ChatGPT 3.5 in 2022, this project has taken the world by storm. ChatGPT saw an adoption curve that, well, didn't even look like a curve at all, more like a vertical. In January 2023, not even 3 months after initial release, the service was already used by over 100 million people, making ChatGPT the fastest growing software in history. OpenAI began testing a paid version called ChatGPT Professional for $20 a month. The subscription services would give users the ability to jump the queue during busy times and early access to ChatGPT 4. In the way that a baby soaks in information from the world around it, ChatGPT soaks in information from the internet by using artificial intelligence to learn. It consumes vast amounts of text on the web to learn the patterns and relationships between words and phrases. According to its website, its mission is to ensure that artificial general intelligence benefits all of humanity. But just in case, its CEO is prepared for doomsday. Sam has a stash of guns, gold and gas masks from the Israeli Defense Force, as well as a big plot of land in Big Sur to hunker down if everything goes haywire. Despite the popularity of ChatGPT, it's far from perfect. It gets basic facts wrong. ChatGPT is also accused of being biased. AI systems are built by humans, and humans carry inherent biases with them. So any of their individual notions can be absorbed by the AI system that is trained by them. Sam acknowledges there's a problem. Sam tweeted, We know that ChatGPT has shortcomings around bias and are working to improve it. We are working to improve the default settings to be more neutral and also to empower users to get our systems to behave in accordance with their individual preferences within broad bounds.
You let yourself like think out sci-fi fiction dream world really far, where you can be like, okay, AGI, start a new $1 trillion company. Yeah. And it can like be the CEO, it can figure out how to go raise capital, it can do all of the engineering, it can do the marketing, it can do the distribution or whatever. And you type this like one thing into a prompt and pushed enter. And it like went off and did that. Like, that's weird.
My question is, what kind of an innovation is it going to be? Is it going to be like the printing press that diffused knowledge and power and learning widely across the landscape, that empowered ordinary everyday individuals, that led to greater flourishing, that led above all to greater liberty? Or is it going to be more like the atom bomb? Huge technological breakthrough, but the consequences, severe, terrible, continue to haunt us to this day.
On one hand, artificial intelligence has the power to revolutionize industries, solve complex problems, and create abundance by automating tasks and improving decision-making processes. It can lead to breakthroughs in healthcare, climate change, mitigation, and economic growth. On the other hand, the unchecked development of artificial intelligence could lead to massive job displacement, increased inequality, and even the potential for destructive autonomous weapons.
How access to these systems work. So the resource that I think should matter most in a world with AGIs in it is like who gets time slices to use the AGI, what we decide it gets used for, stuff like that. And I think like that's just going to require thinking about access to that limited resource in a very different way. Who decides what you get to use the systems for, what the rules are, what they will do and not do? Like, how do we get to like global agreement, treaties, whatever it's going to take on that topic?
As AI continues to advance, concerns about job displacement have become more prominent. While there was an initial belief that AI would primarily target blue-collar jobs, due to its early applications in manufacturing and physical labor, it is becoming evident that white-collar jobs may face higher risk. This is due to the fact that many white-collar roles involve routine tasks that can be efficiently automated, such as accounting, and often rely on information processing where computers excel. However, it is important to recognize that as old jobs gradually disappear, new opportunities will emerge. One such avenue is the development and improvement of AI systems itself. As the demand for AI technologies grows, there will be an increasing need for skilled professionals to design, implement, and enhance these systems. Consequently, while the job landscape may undergo significant transformations, the evolution of AI also presents novel prospects for individuals to contribute their expertise and drive innovation in this rapidly expanding field.
And I also want to say that you should be very careful with videos generated with artificial intelligence technology.
Okay, so you didn't say that recently, but nonetheless, I think it raises a real question, right? When, this video, if you look closely, you can see the lips aren't perfectly synced, but like you said, this stuff is only gonna get better and exponentially better.
Yeah, so that was like deeply in the uncanny valley. It's very strange to watch, but we're not that far away from something that looks perfect. There's a lot of fear right now about the impact this is going to have on elections and on our society and how we ever trust media that we see. I have some fear there, but I think when it comes to like a video like that, I think as a society, we're going to rise to the occasion. We're going to learn very quickly that we don't trust videos unless we trust the sort of provenance. And if people are saying something really important, they'll cryptographically sign it.
I think a minimum is that users should be able to sort of opt out from having their data used by companies like ours or the social media companies. It should be easy to delete your data. I think but the thing that I think is important from my perspective running an AI company is that if you don't want your data used for training these systems, you have the right to do that.
But in terms of things that I think are most likely to affect the future of humanity, I think AI is probably the single biggest item in the near term that's likely to affect humanity. It's very important that we have the advent of AI in a good way. That is something that if you could look into the crystal ball and see the future, you would like that outcome, because it is something that could go wrong
Technology has always been a driving force in shaping our world. From the invention of the wheel to the internet, every new creation has faced its fair share of criticism. We've all seen the negative sides of the internet, how it can spread misinformation and division. But with AI, this is set to only grow. But hey, we can't just focus on the negatives. AI is already revolutionizing game development, video production, copywriting, coding, and countless other fields. It allows the heavy lifting of cognitive repetitive work that nobody likes to be automated, so people can focus on what they enjoy within their profession. And that's a great thing. Of course there are negatives, but the key is to use this tool as wisely and responsibly as possible. As Isaac Asimov, the famous science fiction writer, once said, "The saddest aspects of life right now is that science gathers knowledge faster than society gathers wisdom." So let's do our part to not let that happen. Use these tools with wisdom. But what about the other side? What if the things with AI go very wrong in the future? Sam Altman may then just become one of the most hated people in history. At that point, it just seems like he was starting off with pure goals, but wasn't able to prevent the bad happenings in the future. We don't know. Only time will tell.
Part of, I think, what you mentioned define your career is like this belief in exponentials. And I think if you have a strong belief in exponentials, then the question for these great technologies is never like yes or no. It's usually when.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure. That is another, I think, if you can like train yourself to overcome one cognitive bias to sort of like maximize value creation in your own life, this is like the one, right? It's understanding these exponential curves. For whatever reason, evolution didn't prioritize this. We're very bad at it. It takes some work to overcome. But if you can do it, yeah, it's super valuable. It makes you look like a visionary.